Hello, so today I'm going to show you how to do your evidence tracker for Macbeth. So when you go through this, you will want to be pulling quotes for your essay already, and that's what we're going to do. So you start off in modules as usual. You're going to go into the Macbeth Quarter 4 module, first of all. And then you're going to make a copy of the 4.2 evidence tracker. So if you see that Google's refusing to connect, go ahead and hit that title. And that's when you should hit that blue button, make a copy. So make sure you go there first. Go ahead and do that now. I have a model of this evidence tracker that I am going to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and put my name in this and then my block. So either put B4 or G3, just depending on what section of class you're in. Now, if I go down and see, the first one we're going to do is Act 1. We're only pulling one quote per act, and then you get to pick whichever quote you want to do, legacy, deception, or magic. So when I'm thinking about what I want to do, I don't want to be linking it to any theme you guys might do. So I'm going to switch it and I'm just going to do power. I think that will be a theme that is similar, that you'll still get a lot of good direction off of, but it won't be the same. So now we want to look for our quotes. So we're going to go back to our module. And then under the Macbeth Quarter 4 module, again, I have a lot of resources for you. So No Fear Shakespeare is the most essential. When you are doing No Fear Shakespeare, you will have two different columns of the text. The one on the left is going to be your column for the original Shakespeare written text, and the one on the right is going to be your column that's like a modern kind of translation, okay? So if you're not understanding the left column, I want you to go to the right column. When you're working with this, I would go ahead and download No Fear Shakespeare and link it in a new tab. So you might have to click that download down at the bottom. And then you can go through and see it without all of that canvas hubbub on the sides of it. So if you are someone who needs to hear it, I have a couple other sources for you as well. We have the Macbeth audiobook, and that is just people reading. It's not boring, so it might be a good supplement to just play in the background while you are reading No Fear Shakespeare as well. But then if you want something really visual, I also have a play from 1976, and this has Judi Dench and Ian McKellen in it. So you can play that right there. And then I have timestamps for you because that's all just one video. It's not a separate video per act. So look at the timestamps and you can go wherever you need to go to reference that. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm looking for anything about power when I'm filling out this evidence tracker. So I'm going to be looking in the original Shakespearean, and one word I found was battle. I think that definitely has to do with power. So I want to read that and see, okay, what does that actually mean? So, okay, they're meeting when the noise of the battle is over. Ooh, so I see the battle is being represented by the word hurly-burly. That's a weird word, but that's what my figurative language is going to be. So I'm going to pick up on hurly-burly because I think that has to do with power, and it is a representation of battle. So that's what I'm going to use for my figurative language. I'm going to put that quote in the quote section. And like a big dummy, I didn't put the act, scene, and line over in that left-hand box, but you guys should do that just to keep track of your quotes. So I picked out when the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. So you'll see next that we go to theme. I'm going to bold my theme. So I'm bolding power, but you'll have one of three options, right? And it might go with more than one option too. That is just fine as well. So for the figurative language, I'm going to copy down hurly burly in there specifically. It might be a good idea for you to copy the exact maybe metaphor or simile or figure, just whatever you're working with. And so here I want to kind of define why I'm using that figurative language and just what it is. For this one, I chose that it is a metaphor representing battle, but you can use any of those. You can use metaphor, personification, simile, overstatement, understatement, or it may not even have a name. That's okay too. If it's just a representation of one thing, that really means something else, then you're just fine. So I've put it's a metaphor representing battle. And now I want to explain my interpretation. So this part is kind of like the most important part of your tracker. You can use these interpretations directly in your essay later if you feel like they're appropriate. And if you feel like it really goes along with your overall theme. That's what we want to do here. We already have the quote, we have the device we're looking at, and now we want to talk about the interpretation. How did Shakespeare get from that original thing he's representing to what he calls it, the language he uses to replace it? So hurly-burly is an old word for noise, and that's kind of what I am basing my analysis off of. Because hurly-burly and battle are both two things that the witches are saying, oh, we're going to meet after this hurly-burly. We're going to meet after this battle. We're saying that hurly-burly or noise is what the battle is, and that's what I'm describing here. So Shakespeare immediately follows this line with when the battle's lost and won. So, because both the hurly-burly and the battle are ending, he's representing the battle by calling it noise. Now, I'm going to explain next why that word noise to represent battle is probably figurative language. We're trying to emphasize a certain part of the battle by calling it noise. So we want to think about what are those connotations of noise? What does it mean when something's just noise? Now, I've decided to use the word euphemizing. That is a very specific type of metaphor, and there I can't spell it, but we got it. We're good to go. It's a very specific type of metaphor that means that we're understating something. So we're kind of dismissing it there. We're dismissing the battle by calling it just noise. And here you can see me trying to kind of think about how he is understating this importance. And when I'm thinking about that, so I kind of go back to what he's comparing it to, and I think, what are the implications of noise? Well, I'm thinking if someone's calling something noise, like if you hear, oh, the media is just noise, or oh, that girl just talks noise, you might be thinking about like a chatteriness, a buzzing kind of sound, and something that doesn't seem very important, something that seems more like everyday or just in the background. So that's what I tried to convey there. So now I'm going to move on to my theme statement. So I have so far, this tells the audience that the power people seek does not hold as much significance as they believe it does. If we're in a war, we are going to be very invested in that. That's a very traumatic situation. People are dying. It usually has to do with like the power that one country has over another. And I do think that that's a really essential part of my explanation I didn't put in here yet. So I'm going to kind of go back and tweak it and talk about the war more so in just a minute. But I do like that theme that I came up with because we're talking about significance, right? What is important and what's not important. Yeah, here I go with talking about the importance of war, which is a huge contrast to calling that battle noise. Now, if I had read more, this is only on the first page in the first scene, so I don't know too much yet about my play, but if I had read more of this, I may be able to have a more specific theme, like I might be able to use more context. So here I'm putting it in the context of the play, which is very important too. So I've put, while war and battle is usually considered very important, the witches are ready to move on from it. They are waiting for the noise to be over so that they can get on with their own agenda, which is essentially giving their prophecy to Macbeth, which we'll see. So that I think gives me a little bit more of a context for why I'm doing that. And then once you're done typing, you just delete those lines. We were going to have you write this, but the corona hit, so we've got to do it online. When you get to Act 2, well, and when you're doing Act 1 at first, you bold that theme that you're going to work with, whatever you find, and that's really where I would start. I would think about what theme you want to do and then look for any words in the text that you think relate to that theme to pull for your quote. So you will do that starting with Act 1, and there you go. Let me know if you have any questions.